What's happening, everybody? Thanks for joining us here at Mackey and Machine. I am Brian Mackey, and we are back in the shop after out at Bonneville Speed Week 2024. Project Black Ice is underway. I have some really incredible and exciting news. My buddy Steve Stanford, the legendary automotive designer and artist, has done a beautiful rendition of this car, and we're gonna show you guys exactly what this thing is going to look like when we're finished. But first, your questions, your comments that you've dropped over the last few months, we're going to answer them right here, right now. Let's get into it. So we got Miguel behind the camera. He is going to run through the YouTube comments and fire them off.
First question, why use fiberglass filler?
Fiberglass body filler, sometimes referred to as kitty hair, sometimes referred to as Marglass. It's a fiberglass reinforced filler. I think originally it was designed because it was a much stronger body filler structure, and so it was used back in the day, I think, as like hard, heavy hit collision vehicles. They just fill it with mud. They wouldn't even hammer out the metal, so they would just put reinforced body filler. Today, we use it for the resistance to moisture. So over every weld seam, even if we finish them and file them and hammer dolly them, we run a Planisher over it, whatever it is, we still take a little bit of Marglass body filler and we run it over the weld seam just as a safety precaution. If there is a tiny pinhole that we missed, it can happen, but we strive not to. It's just a sure way that we don't have any moisture coming in from the backside of that panel, penetrating the body filler, creating rust underneath, and then eventually blistering and popping out through the paint. So it's cheap insurance. I strongly recommend you guys do it. If you're at home, buy yourself a can of Marglass filler, run it over your weld seams, and it will really give you the longevity that you're looking for when using body filler.
Next question, going back to part 9, the $75,000 paint job. Do you think you should explain to people how you come up with a $75,000 paint job, as 90% of people cannot grasp the concept of a $75,000 paint job?
Sure. Yeah, $75,000 seems like an exorbitant amount of money to paint a car. In reality, that's a mid-grade body and restoration paint job. You have to look at the price of the materials. Everything for this car, from start to finish, is about $15,000 to $18,000. Sometimes, if you're using candies and pearls, we're up to $20,000 in materials alone. $75,000 minus $20,000 in materials leaves you $55,000. You've got 2 to 3 guys every single week logging 40 hours. At our labor rate of 140, the money goes like that. It takes 800 to 1,000 hours to block sand one of these cars, to get it paint perfect, mirror perfect. It is exhausting. It takes months on end. Of course, there's drying times in between, but if you do simple math, the amount of time that it takes with the labor rate that we charge here in Southern California, it adds up very quick. It's not out of the ordinary nowadays to have a 6-figure paint job for a show quality car. And then you also have to look at like the base of the beginning stages of paint jobs, from like One Day Paint and Body, Mako Paint and Body, you know, these small franchises, the old Earl Scheib's kind of shops. These paint jobs now at these shops are $5,000 for a base clear job.
This next question is going back to part 10, the most efficient way to sand body filler. What is the purpose of using so much body filler?
We use body filler as a way to make a panel absolutely mirror perfect. The way that we use body filler here, there's 3 golden rules. We never apply body filler over rust. We never apply body filler thicker than 1/4 of an inch, and we never apply body filler to the edges of panels. This is where a lot of people fail. And out of those 3 reasons, the biggest one that I see fail is body filler over rust or over dense, and it's just too thick. So proper adhesion for your body filler, meaning over a powder coated surface, over an epoxy primer. This is key. The thickness of the material is key. Of course, the humidity when you apply it, the temperature at which you apply it, all of these things are easy to research and come up with, so you guys can at home apply this product and you won't have failure. I have yet in my career to see a vehicle to this caliber not have any body filler on it. It is an absolute trend in our industry. that everybody wants to talk about. My car doesn't have rust, and my car doesn't have body filler. Body filler is not the problem, right? The product itself is not the problem. It's the person that applies the body filler. If you don't read the back of the can, if you don't educate yourself on how to use the product properly, you're going to have failure. And that is throughout the board. Construction, automotive, marine industry. If you don't follow the manufacturer's guidelines, you're going to have problems. So remember that. At this point in time, we have to let go of the fact that body filler is a negative term or concept. It only allows us to beautify. It only allows us to make perfection in panels. Yes, the metalwork is important, but the block sanding and bodywork portion is also equally as important as the metalwork, and it is a product that has been out for over 50 years. It has been perfected from the big manufacturers, and it has been perfected from the little guys like us that are using the product on a daily basis. Get over it. It's a product that's going to be around forever. It is acceptable, and you too will have solid results.
To piggyback off of that, you should never ever apply filler over bare metal.
I agree with that statement. You need to have what we call a barrier coat over the metal. These are 3 different products that you can use. 1 is a powder coat, 2 is an epoxy primer, probably the best option, and 3 is a product from Evercoat, which is a high build polyester primer that has bare metal capabilities in it. You can use that product over, I think it's slick sand, but correct me if I'm wrong. If you know the product I'm talking about, drop it in the comments. It's a 4-to-1 product, and it has a glass bottle as a hardener, and it's a great product to use over bare metal, and you can use it once you have that product down on the bare metal. You can use a body filler over that. This is kind of a catch-22. Here's what's going on. If you read the back of the can on a body filler product, it says you can apply it over bare metal, but research has shown that you do not have a barrier coat on the bare metal, so it's subject to moisture encapsulation. The bodywork and the bare metal panel will attract moisture. That moisture will turn into rust, and that will cause you problems. So a barrier coat is key. This is also the case in the marine industry for the last 15 or 20 years. I'm an avid sailor, and I've restored a few boats. In the marine boat yards nowadays, when they do a bottom paint job, which is an anti-fouling, it's common now to strip that anti-fouling off, roll 7 coats of a barrier epoxy, and then apply your anti-fouling. The anti-fouling paint is not a water barrier, so water and moisture get into your fiberglass and it causes problems. Epoxy with a 2-part hardener is a barrier. It stops the water and the moisture from entering, and that's the exact same thing in the marine industry as we're seeing here in the automotive industry. We have to put a barrier coat between the bare metal and the exterior paint process, meaning the bodywork, the primer, and the paint.
This is going back to part 11. Block sanding is the most important step before paint. Here's a new subscriber. He wants to know, what do you do when you have an oil can on your roof of your car?
So oil canning is when you have too much metal for the desired shape of the panel that you're looking for. So what happens on a roof panel, if you have a nice reverse curve, meaning the metal is shaped in both directions, this way and this way, sometimes if you have too much metal, it'll pop. And you can push it down and then it pops back. You can push it down, pops back. We refer to that in this industry as oil canning. There are ways to master the removal of oil canning by shrinking the metal with a torch and a hammer and a dolly. It's the old school method, and it's really difficult and it's really time consuming. I'm gonna advise you to not get into that. Torch shrinking is a challenge. The easiest way is to look on Google under, you guys gotta correct me in the comments, it's a metal shrinking disc from Sun Chaser Tools. The owner's name is Ken. He is a great metal craftsman. He sells shrinking discs. These are serrated stainless shrinking discs. Get yourself a little fender and learn how to use these, because what they do is they slowly heat up the entire panel. Then you can take a little spray bottle of water and you can spray that panel with water after it's been slowly heated, and it takes all those molecules in that metal and it just condenses them together and it shrinks the metal. With torch shrinking, you heat up little areas and you hammer those flat, you press that metal together and then you cool it, and you have all these little torch heat areas all over the panel. With Ken's process, you heat up the entire panel, or the majority of the panel, and then you cool it. So it takes every area, every square inch, and it slowly shrinks the panel. And it's really effective. Look him up, Sun Chaser Tools. He's in Pasadena, California, and he offers classes, 2 or 3 day classes. And I urge that you take those, check him out.
Next question is similar to the oil can effect. 3 wipes on a roof skin suggests metalwork wasn't great. You also need a wipe filler with a much larger applicator. And that was also from part 11.
So I think what this gentleman is referring to is when we did the sped up version of the roof, it took 2 passes skimming body filler. We still use a 5-inch or 6-inch spreader. A lot of guys in the body shop industry now will use a 10-inch or a 12-inch spreader. And that's a great method. I stand behind those larger spreaders. We're not doing it on this project. There's no reason for it other than just we're not doing it. But I agree with you. When the metal is correct, you have less skim coats on a panel. But when you use a 6-inch spreader on a roof, which is about 4.5 or 5 foot wide, you have irregularities. So when you go to block sand, sometimes you'll have just a very small low spot because your spreader didn't quite fill that low. Even though your body filler is a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch, you just need to make another pass.
This is on the last episode, Crash leads to 350 hours of body work. This is mainly just addressing the pinhole pop-ups. People knew that these were gonna come up. We had multiple comments on that.
Yeah, there's different methods to fill pinholes, and there's different products that you can use. With my experience and my longevity in this industry, I feel the best way to solve pinhole issues is to still use a 2-part component, which is a glazed putty. It has a hardener, you mix it up, you sit there and you fill it with a razor blade. This ensures that you have a hardened product that matches the consistency of your body filler, and it ensures that you're not just priming over dust, because dust is the culprit here. If dust is in those little pinholes and you prime over it, that's where problems can happen. So what we do here at my shop is we meticulously blow the vehicle off with 80 or 100 pounds of air through a blower. We get all that dust and debris from sanding out of the way. We use a 2-part putty glaze. We mix it, we spread it, we sand it, and we never have to worry about it again.
And final question, the one probably everyone wants to know, the one I want to know, what is next on this build?
Our next step for the next week is to finish the mock-up of all of the trim, the stainless work, the bumpers. We're gonna build the car at what we call a dry fit. We're gonna make sure everything jives and all the panels are gapped and aligned, and then we will move towards paint. I called my buddy Steve Stanford, legend in the custom and hot rodding world since the 70s. He is an automotive designer and an automotive artist. I told him about our project here. We're gonna unveil it at Grand National Roadster Show. To my surprise, he was floored to do a 59 El Camino, and he had a couple neat ideas. A few videos ago I said that these cars really don't need much, and Steve and I had a little powwow about that. We said, man, the 59 is iconic in itself. It doesn't need much, but what can we do to just make little touches that kind of make it our own personal Mackey built car? He came up with a couple cool ideas, and he's going to bring his rendition of his Stanford 59 El Camino drawing. We're super excited to show you guys. Let's go check it out. All right, we're ready. Let's see it.
I don't know if you guys are ready for this. This is what you guys are building.
Oh, all right. Heck yeah. That's bad.
I told you like it. Oh my gosh. I can't believe nobody's put Impala side trim on the side of the Milk Camino.
That's it right there.
Yeah. Because I wanted to run that red insert.
Yep.
You know, with the rest of the red trim and all that. Yeah, who needs an airbrush?
Right?
It's all pastels. Yeah.
That's incredible. Was this drawn in as a hardcover?
Either fabric or hardcover would be nice. Fabric is more nostalgic.
Yeah.
You know. I did knock the emblems off the front because you said you were going to shave the tailgate, so and then French the license in, so it would have been out of place to leave the emblems in the front. So.
True. Yeah.
Every little bitty thing I do is usually has a reason for it. You know, it's not just drawing stuff just to be drawn. I mean, it's got to fit the overall.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys inviting me in on the project and stuff. I can tell it's gonna be a winner by the time it gets done.
Yeah.
Once again, it's like this thing has evolved.
Right.
We weren't going to set out to build that car until only about, what, 5 months ago or something?
Yeah.
You committed now.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Ain't no going back on this.
Yeah, it's true.
But I thought just a little touch of red really makes things pop, and photographers like that sort of thing too when they're taking shots of it.
And then adding that Impala trim.
That's really the key.
Yeah.
That's really it's like just enough red scattered here and there to balance out and provide some impact without being overbearing.
Yeah.
You know, and it had to have the red too, along with the black.
I know. Yeah.
But still, it's such an uncommon thing that it's really going to stand out. True.
Yeah, because that trim is a lot wider back here. And I think it does have the same curvature.
It comes to a real point
Yeah.
by the time it gets about halfway down and it starts thinning out. That's awesome. Yeah, let me get that out.
All right.
You can start drawing, man. If I could draw like that, I would.
I guess you don't know till you try.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
It's beautiful. Jay is going to trip. Hey, thanks for joining us on this episode. We were thrilled to have Steve Stanford on board. Make sure you guys subscribe to our channel. We've got more with Steve Stanford coming up soon. And also, we're back on this Project Black Ice 59L Camino full-time. So we'll see you next week as we continue bodywork, trim, and we get ready for paint. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.